The Ark of the Covenant parted rivers, toppled city walls, and was so holy that touching it could kill you. For centuries, it stood at the center of Israel's faith. And then, it's just gone. Scripture never clearly tells you what happened to it. There are theories, some ancient, some surprising, but none confirmed. To understand why that silence matters, you have to start with what made it so powerful. Centuries before the Ark became legend, its story began with a set of instructions given to Moses in the wilderness. According to Exodus 25, God did not just ask for a box, He laid out a blueprint in exacting detail. The Ark was to be built from acacia wood, a material known for its toughness and longevity. Over that, pure gold covered every surface, inside and out, reflecting not just beauty, but an otherworldly worth. The chest measured 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high, about the size of a hope chest, but unlike anything else in the ancient world. On top sat the mercy seat, crafted from solid gold. 2 cherubim faced each other, wings spread and eyes downcast, as if guarding something too holy to touch. The text is clear. This was more than a container. God told Moses, "There I will meet with you." The Ark was described as the very place where heaven brushed the earth, a throne not just for a king, but for the presence of God Himself. In the heart of the camp, behind curtains and incense, the Ark stood as the meeting point between the divine and the human. That is where its power and its mystery began. When the Israelites finally reached the edge of the Promised Land, the Ark didn't just sit in the background. According to Joshua 3, the priests lifted the Ark and stepped into the Jordan River. The moment their feet touched the water, the current stopped. The river, usually swollen with spring floods, piled up in a heap far upstream, and the people crossed over on dry ground. It wasn't a hidden miracle. The whole nation saw it. The Ark was out front, a visible sign that something greater was at work. Not long after, the Ark took center stage again at Jericho. For 6 days, the priests carried it around the city walls, silent except for the sound of trumpets. On the 7th day, they circled the city 7 times. Then, at Joshua's command, the people shouted. The walls collapsed, and Jericho fell without a fight. In both moments, the Ark wasn't just a relic. It was the force leading Israel, shaping their story in ways no one could ignore. The early chapters make it clear. The Ark was a living presence, not just a symbol tucked away in a tent. The Ark's story takes a dramatic turn when Israel faces its oldest enemy. In the days of Samuel, the Israelites carry the Ark into battle against the Philistines, hoping it will guarantee victory. Instead, disaster strikes. The Philistines capture the Ark and bring it into their own temple. What follows is a string of calamities. Plagues break out, idols topple, and panic spreads through Philistine cities. After 7 months of suffering, they load the Ark onto a cart, hitch it to 2 cows, and send it back across the border, almost as if they can't get rid of it fast enough. Years later, King David decides the Ark belongs in Jerusalem, the new capital. He organizes a grand procession with music and dancing, but the journey is interrupted by tragedy. As the Ark travels on a cart, the oxen stumble. Uzzah, one of the men guiding the cart, reaches out to steady it. The moment his hand touches the Ark, he falls dead. The celebration stops cold. David is shaken, and the Ark rests for 3 months at the house of Obed-Edom before David dares to try again. This time, the Ark arrives in Jerusalem with careful reverence, and the city erupts in worship. Solomon, David's son, builds a temple unlike anything Israel has seen. When the Ark is finally carried into the innermost room, the Holy of Holies, something extraordinary happens. The priests place it beneath the golden wings of 2 massive cherubim. As they withdraw, a thick cloud fills the temple, and the people fall silent. The Ark has found its home at the very heart of Israel's worship. This is the last time Scripture describes its location with certainty. After this, the story goes quiet, and the mystery deepens. But after this point, something strange happens. The story that once followed the Ark so closely suddenly falls silent. The biblical text, which traced every move from the wilderness to the heart of Solomon's temple, gives no clear answer about what became of the Ark when the world around it began to unravel. In 586 BCE, Nebuchadnezzar's Babylonian army swept into Jerusalem. The temple, once the center of Israel's worship, was torn down stone by stone. The books of 2 Kings and Jeremiah lay out a grim inventory of what was taken: gold, silver, bronze pillars, and sacred vessels. Yet, in all these lists, the Ark is not named. For something that had been the very throne of God, its absence is almost deafening. It is as if the Ark simply vanishes into the smoke and chaos of conquest. Some readers look to Ezekiel, who describes visions of God's glory leaving the temple and returning again in a future age. But even Ezekiel, who writes as an exile and priest, never mentions the Ark itself, only the presence it once signified. The silence is deliberate, and it leaves a gap that no later passage fills. That gap, more than any legend or theory, is what keeps the mystery alive. Now here is where things become unclear, and honestly, that is part of what keeps this story alive. Some believe the Ark did not simply disappear in the chaos of Jerusalem's fall. Instead, there is a tradition, found in later Jewish writings and echoed by some scholars, that priests, or even the prophet Jeremiah himself, hid the Ark before the Babylonians could reach it. The idea goes like this: as the threat of invasion grew, the keepers of the temple may have taken the Ark and concealed it in a cave or perhaps in a secret chamber beneath the Temple Mount. This theory shows up in the Talmud and in stories passed down through generations, but it is important to say that the Bible itself never records such an act. There is no verse that tells us the Ark was hidden away for safekeeping. Others look at the same silence and draw a different conclusion. They suggest the Ark was simply lost during the siege, taken as plunder, destroyed in the fire, or perhaps dismantled for its gold. The Babylonians were known for stripping conquered temples of their treasures, and Jerusalem's fate was no exception. Yet even in the detailed lists of what was carried off, the Ark is not named. That absence leaves just enough room for doubt and for hope that maybe somewhere the Ark escaped destruction. But as the dust settled over the ruins of the temple, no one could say for sure what became of the holiest object in Israel's history. Now here is where the trail grows even fainter. There is a tradition, held especially in Ethiopia, that the Ark did not vanish in Jerusalem at all. It traveled far south, carried by Menelik I, the legendary son of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. According to the Kebra Nagast, a revered Ethiopian text compiled in the 14th century, Menelik brought the Ark to Axum, where it is said to rest in the Church of St. Mary of Zion. For Ethiopian Orthodox Christians, this is not just folklore. It is woven into their national and spiritual identity. Pilgrims still gather outside the church, hoping for a glimpse, though only a single guardian monk is allowed near the supposed Ark itself. No outside scholar has ever verified what is kept behind those walls. But the Ethiopian legend is only one thread in a much larger tapestry of speculation. Some suggest the Ark was melted down for its gold, destroyed in the chaos of conquest, or simply lost to time. Its wood and gold were repurposed, its memory scattered. Later Jewish and Christian writings speak of the Ark, but only in echoes and symbols, never as a recovered artifact. The archaeological record, for all its treasures, offers nothing conclusive. No fragments, no inscriptions, no secret chambers with a golden chest waiting to be found. In the end, the silence remains. The Ark's fate is still a question that history, tradition, and faith each answer in their own way. For ancient Israel, the Ark was not just a relic or a piece of sacred furniture. It stood for everything at the heart of their faith, a physical sign of the covenant, a reminder that God was not distant but present and near. The ark was the meeting point, the bridge between heaven and earth. Its gold-covered lid, the mercy seat, was where forgiveness, promise, and presence all came together. So when the ark disappears from the story, it is not just a missing artifact. It is a silence that echoes through generations. What does it mean when the object that once marked God's nearness is suddenly gone? The absence is not just historical, it is emotional and spiritual too. It invites a kind of longing, a wondering about how people hold on to faith when the most tangible sign of it is missing. The unanswered question lingers: can a symbol of divine presence vanish? And what does that leave behind in the story of a people and their God? When the biblical story falls silent about the ark, later writers and thinkers don't just stop wondering. They start reimagining what it means for God to be present at all. In the New Testament, the language changes. The Gospel of John describes something new. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Instead of a gold-covered chest behind a curtain, God's presence is found in a person, Jesus, who walks, speaks, and shares meals with ordinary people. Paul, writing to the early Christians in Corinth, takes the idea even further. He tells them that they are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in them. The focus shifts from a sacred object in a hidden room to a living community, where the divine presence is woven into everyday life. These are not clues about the ark's location, and they don't settle the mystery of what happened to it. But they do show how, over time, the search for God's presence moved from a single artifact to something much closer, and maybe even more lasting. The ark's silence in Scripture isn't just a gap in history, it's an open invitation. Even now, people search, debate, and wonder, because the deeper longing for connection and meaning never really disappears. Maybe that's the real mystery we are left to carry. Let me know your thoughts below.